You're listening to the Beauty of the Business podcast, where our goal is to inspire and educate while we deep dive into the exciting world where beauty meets business.
Get ready for insightful conversations, empowering stories, and behind-the-scenes look at the powerhouse women shaping the new business world of today.
Hey gang, you're tuning in to the debut episode of the Beauty of the Business podcast. I'm Lexi, a hairstylist and owner of Canvas Hair Design Studio here in New Smyrna Beach. And joining me as your co-host for this podcast is my fellow stylist at Canvas, Jess.
Hey everyone, so excited to be here today on this new adventure. Today we are going to be peeling back the layers and telling you about how we got started in the beauty industry and everything that comes with it. Let's jump in.
Okay, Jess. So as co-host, why don't you get started and give everyone a little bit of background on how you got started in the hair industry eons ago?
Eons ago, yes. Well, I always grew up loving fashion, loving art. I wanted to be surrounded by all things beautiful. And I thought I wanted to move to New York City, work as maybe like a magazine editor or
I feel
something.
like we all want to do. Fashion in New York is like every little kid's dream. Well, girl's dream at least.
Did you see 13 Going on 30?
Exactly.
That was my vision of my future. And then I was probably like 12, and my mom and her sisters always colored each other's hair, and she asked me to pull her hair through a cap. Why she trusted me to do this?
I was just going to ask. I've also honestly never foiled with a cap besides one time in school, so I'm shocked that she just was like, here, have at it.
Have at it. And I did really well. I didn't stab her in the head.
Wouldn't doubt you would do a great job, but yes.
She had these beautiful, fine little baby lights. And from that point on, I was my mom's hair colorist. And I always loved going to the hair salon. I would watch everything. To this day, I can still remember seeing the blow dryer and the brush trick, you know, where you use the blow dryer to hold the hair.
And wanting to know how to do that.
Yes. And I'm like, I'm going to practice and like go home and practice. I also had family, 2 aunts that were hairstylists, and one of them would gift me mannequins for Christmas and like Sally gift cards. So I'm
that aunt. So just so you know, I'm that aunt. Yes.
The writing was just on the wall that that's what was going to happen. And so I went to cosmetology school actually after working at a hair salon. It was my first job. Totally fell into it randomly. I had a friend text me, hey, do you need a job? And I'm literally filling out applications at the mall while she's texting me that. And I'm like, yes, I do need a job.
Yeah.
And she was going on maternity leave as a receptionist at a salon in Winter Park, which growing up where I grew up, that was the goal. Like, go to Winter Park, be a hairstylist there. That's where it all happens.
It is. In Florida, that is Central Florida. Winter Park is like the ideal. When someone's comparing something to like high class and like the New York of it, it's Winter Park.
It's Winter Park. Yeah. So, I mean, Park Avenue. Hello.
Yes.
So I started as a receptionist there and just fell in love with all of it. Signed up for cosmetology school, and it just was something that felt so natural to me. Everything clicked.
Because your aunt's just put in little things all along your childhood. So that's why it felt natural.
It felt so natural. I'm like, oh, this is what I was meant to do.
Absolutely.
High school math? No. Passing color theory? Yes.
Absolutely. Easy.
It just, everything made so much sense. And pretty quickly, I built up a clientele at the salon, or at the school, which was kind of rare. Like, you were typically just like getting lucky and
one-offs.
And it was maybe 2 months of me being on the floor, and I had a full schedule. It was one client in particular that really sold me on being a hairstylist when she opened up to me about health issues that she was going through. And I realized how important it was to be a hairstylist. You're not just doing someone's hair.
Nope.
You're not just making them look good. You're being there for that person sitting in your chair. And not all clients, are going to come in and open up to you, but the ones that do, I took that job so seriously of being there, being a listening ear, and trying to just support and pour love into whoever was in my chair. So that's when I knew like this was going to be something I do for a very long time.
Right. And that's also part of what makes you a good hairstylist is when you can make those connections with people. Those are the clients you'll have for your lifetime too. Yeah.
And it meant so much to me because I just naturally kind of always was a friend that people would come to for advice. And then for that to be proven through my clients where they would be so grateful, not only for their amazing highlights or their amazing haircut, but just
that connection.
A true soundboard to be there for.
And that's hard. I believe that like in order to be a great stylist, there are plenty of good stylists, but to be a great stylist, that's one of the qualities that you can't really create, that you just kind of have to have behind the chair.
That's so true. Definitely. I did step away from being a hairstylist for a little bit. I think it was a year and a half. I got really in my head about looks, everything being focused on how someone looks. And I think that kind of comes with being in the industry after
Absolutely,
a while.
yeah.
You're like, is this something I want to be a part of? Is this something I want to promote? And taking that step back made me realize, because suddenly I was walking into a salon as just someone.
Why is that still intimidating?
Yeah.
I don't know why, even as a stylist, 13 years in the industry, like walking into a salon where I don't know anybody, you're like, oh, it takes you back to that client perspective of everyone looks good, everyone's super trendy. I want to be like them, and do I like meet that mark? It's very interesting, so I totally understand that.
It completely put everything into perspective to me, because being on the other side, I always just had my girlfriends do my hair at the salon, you know? And then to walk into a salon and hope that I got someone who actually knew what they were doing, and I left actually not super happy. And
Oh, wow.
so it completely put into perspective for me of like, this is very important. And I realized that I was actually very good at my job, very good at giving people what they want. And it made me fall in love with it all over again. And then that's when I came to Canvas.
I'm so lucky to have you, honestly.
So grateful.
The energy is on point.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, no, we're blessed to have you, and you're super, super talented. And I think your whole backstory and everything that you've gone through and experienced within the industry definitely is such an asset, and not something that, hi Tony, joining the podcast, that you can, as everybody just heard, I have a plethora of dogs at my house.
Which we love.
Which I do love. It's a blessing, and sometimes just a noisy little curse. But they do get to come to the salon with me most of the times, which I think adds to the experience at Canvas. Even if you don't love dogs, they'll make you love dogs.
Yes.
It's kind of part of their job.
Absolutely.
But do you want me to?
Yeah, I want to hear about how you got started in your journey.
Whew, here we go. So, as some of you may know, I think most people know that I was born and raised in New York, which is like I don't even know the word, the Mecca, thank you.
Yes.
For all things fashion, modeling, film, hair. It's where everything starts. So I basically grew up performing. I think my mom had like a little bit of a dream, and she just, threw me out there, and I went for it. So whether it was dancing, modeling, pageants, acting, you name it, I was in it starting at the age of 3, which, is very interesting. But my whole upbringing was basically a lot of the things I was into was centered around appearance. So I thought it was fun when I was a kid, because you're playing dress up and you're taking photos and you're doing all of these really fun things that other kids are like wanting to do, and they think it's cool because you're leaving school and you're going to model or you're going to be in some film. But then you hit that weird puberty age where your body's changing and you're in high school and you don't have this like core young group of friends. You have a very catty and maybe like more superficial group of people who are all judging each other because everyone's going through this weird body stage. So I think that was when everything kind of took a different turn for me. I think everyone in high school is like not fully aware of who they are or comfortable in their own skin, which is why a lot of bullying and things happen. But that on top of being judged in bikini competition and seeing black and white scores
Brutal.
of like your face, your body, and this definitely tore me down, and was really hard to build back from. But it was definitely the push for me that this industry is something I wanted to be in, because I wanted to not have other people feel that way and be the driving force to make people feel the opposite. So if I have a client who I can tell it might be lacking in self-confidence, I know what we're doing in my chair can turn that around and change how they see themselves. And honestly, I think we're like the front lines for people's first impression and first appearance and how they see themselves in the mirror every morning. So to me, if I can make someone feel really good or give them that confidence before they go into an interview, like that is huge, because all the stuff, good and bad, that I went through obviously makes you who you are. And, you know, I don't know, this new generation has social media, so they don't have like the weird phases of like the ugly dances and like
so
awkward.
annoying.
They are cute from the time they are born through high school. There's no weird
And they know how to do makeup.
I mean, we had white eyeliner and like butterfly clips in our hair, and we thought we were cool.
Jinko jeans and butterfly clips.
Hey,
all at the
Jenkos
same
are coming
time.
back though. I don't know. Those are coming back. So, you know, I do think it builds a lot of character, but I think it's those times that definitely made me want to be on like the back end of the camera and the back end of things to help people feel really good rather than judge people at face value.
I love that perspective.
Yeah. I mean, I was not, contrary to popular belief, I was not the popular kid. I was like the awkward one who I was kind of friends with everyone, but I didn't really have like really solid friends, if that makes sense.
Same. I did cheerleading in high school, and I was the captain, and we did like competitions and everything, and everyone just assumed like, oh, she's the popular girl, or like, oh, she has all these friends. And I'm like, actually, I'm really awkward, and I would literally sit with anyone and everyone and talk to anyone and everyone. And most of the time, if anyone had any like preconceived notions of me being a certain kind of way, it's like, I'm actually just very shy.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm standing in the corner because I'm scared.
Because I feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But being a hairstylist and going through that, being a hairstylist now, going through that in the past, and knowing how much a difference your hair makes on how you look at yourself, how you feel. It's so true. Like when you look good, you feel good.
Absolutely. And I also think because we were more of that socially awkward people, we can recognize that in other people and kind of help shift the way they see themselves or just how they approach situations based on the conversations in the chair, them realizing that like, oh, I'm not the only person that feels this way, and then leaving with fresh hair that suits them, that really does like boost how they are actually feeling and like their inside. I don't know.
Totally. A whole new mindset. It's like new hair, new mindset. And you leave just with a little extra pep in your step.
Yeah, I think that's super powerful. I don't think there's many other jobs where really the sole purpose is to make somebody feel better walking out the door.
Totally. Lighter and brighter. Literally.
Blonder the better.
Yes, absolutely.
You're next.
Yes, please make me blonde. Bring
So
me back.
I've been behind the chair for almost 13 years now. Whew. Seems really quick, but when looking back, I realized it has been a long time. I went to Paul Mitchell, the school. We call them homegrowns, which I think is a really fun
That's
name.
so cute.
Yeah, that community is great. I implore anyone who is thinking about going to cosmetology school to really invest in something like Aveda or Paul Mitchell. I know my hairstylist at the time, when I told her, she said, go to Aveda, Paul Mitchell, or Toni and Guy, or don't bother going. And I was like,
so interesting.
oh, okay. And because I was obsessed with hairstylists, I just took her word and did that, you know? And that community has always been great. Typically, we can recognize a Paul Mitchell graduate when we walk into a salon, which is very interesting, especially working together. We'll start using like the same terminologies like, I had a challenge today, or an aha moment. And you're like, oh, you went to Paul Mitchell too.
I love that.
That's yeah.
Cool.
They've got a lot of really cool techniques and ways to make you not feel defeated They call it like a challenge. An aha moment is something, obviously like you realize like this is the easier method, or, oh, that's what I was doing wrong.
Cool.
Yeah. And now I'm a Davines educator, which has been amazing. And recently a Masters of Balayage ambassador, which I'm so excited about. Yes. So lots of knowledge behind the chair. And you've been behind the chair for how long now?
11 years. And it's interesting that you say that about Paul Mitchell or Aveda, because I went to a school called the Hair Design Institute, and they weren't tied to one brand. I could walk into the color room and there was like 4 different options.
Okay.
So they really focused on color theory and more of the technical things. And I was actually told not to go to a brand name school because you will only learn their brand. So I'm so glad to hear that perspective of it.
I mean, I think, I didn't go to a different school. So like, I only know that.
But it sounds like there was a lot of more personal, I don't want to say like corporate teaching, but more how to be in the business.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is, they had that name behind them to know.
I think I was super lucky. The school I went to was in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Yes, I'm plugging PMTS Fayetteville. Love them so much. We were super lucky in that our teachers weren't level 1 educators. They were level 3 or 4 for Paul Mitchell. We had a specific texture teacher, a color teacher,
Amazing.
a cutting teacher, one that basically just taught us blowouts, and then one lady who taught us all the things we needed to know for state board, and you took her class and this way you knew what to do. But that was really great because it wasn't one person who was trying to teach you everything. Obviously you have teachers you click with better than others. Some who, would take me aside and really work on things I wanted to work with. But even teachers who told me how important it was about like horoscopes and birthdays. And she's like, I don't care if you're not super into it, but if you have a general understanding of what personalities come with what horoscopes and what birthdays, when you're talking with someone or filling out a client card, you kind of have a better idea of how to approach them.
Totally.
Which
I love that.
I never thought of before, and now it makes sense. I mean, my entire salon is basically Virgo, so clearly
There's something to that.
there's something to it.
The perfectionism pays off being a hairstylist.
Exactly. So there were little things like that I think were super beneficial, but I do see I only learned Paul Mitchell's color line.
But I think hearing you talk, Paul Mitchell has such a name and a reputation behind them that they may hold their teachers to a higher standard and more of a structure.
Yes,
of what's
absolutely.
going to be
And everyone was teaching you in the same fashion. So you could ask any person about a haircut and you weren't getting, well, this is how I do it and this is how I do it. It was like, this is the basic, simple way. This is the guideline to do it. Once you master that, tweak it. But it was a really nice foundation to have going out into the hair world, for
That's
sure.
awesome. That's really cool to hear. Something I'm going to think about now whenever I'm
suggesting things to
tell
people.
people. Well, when I have people ask me about cosmetology school, we know so many young stylists or people who want to be in the industry. I feel like once a week you at least have a girl in your chair who's like, I'm thinking about going to cosmetology school. These things to have in the back of the mind is really good.
Yeah.
Well, I have so many questions that I could ask you on growing up in New York, modeling, pageantry, the whole thing.
I would assume a lot of people would, but I think that would take a whole nother episode. But I definitely think it's something we should take more of a deep dive into, just because I feel like there are good and bad things that come with all of the above that you just stated.
Definitely.
Speaking of next episodes, on our next episode, we are going to have Jen Michelli, who you know as a salon client. She's amazing. Not only is she like one of the top people at Herbalife and ultimate fitness guru, if you look at her,
Goals.
Thank you.
Major goals.
I don't know how, but please teach me your ways, master.
Yes.
But she is just a total girl boss and all about showing up and your energy and how not to get burnt out and always be the best version of you. So on our next episode, she will be joining us and we get to ask her all of our burning questions that we want to ask her when she's behind the chair.
Yes.
Which I think for us, we have a really interesting and I don't know, position to be in where we have multiple people coming in on the regular, sitting in our chairs, mostly women, who are successful boss babes and entrepreneurs. And we do get to build these bonds and ask questions. So a lot of the clients, you guys will probably be on here. And I think our industry, honestly, is just a super powerful one. And that's why this is so important to do. And I'm very excited about our new passion project.
So excited.
These upcoming episodes will both hopefully challenge and inspire you, but reassure you that your network might be bigger than you think.
So we're closing out for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share, tell all your friends. It helps us more than you know.
And feel free to ask any questions in the comments, leave any little thoughts, and anything you potentially want to see on an episode, or something you've always wanted to ask a hairstylist, but maybe were too scared to do it when you sat in their chair. Leave it in the comments or send us a DM and we'll make sure to add it on.
Thank you guys for listening. We're so excited, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye, gang.
Bye.